Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Yoga Break It Down. I'm Yoga Suze. In this episode, we are going to explore Savasana. The English translation is corpse pose. This is an exercise that we practice at the end of our yoga practice. It is a wind down, cool down relaxation, but as we'll explore, it's one of the most important exercises that ends up aiding us in our entire yoga practice. If you look this position up in a book, it will likely demonstrate the position in one way, maybe with a second variation, but not many variations. And that is why I find it important to explain to you all the variations that you have to choose from. Traditionally, this position looks like a corpse pose, where the person is laying on their back, the arms at the side, symmetrical, palms up. And palms up is a great choice because it helps rotate the shoulders open, but 45 degrees from the body, legs about hip distance apart, parallel, toes in line, not flailing out. When I first started taking yoga classes, the teachers were adamant about students being in this position in this particular way. And they would even come around to the different students during this time and to let them know if they needed to correct their position. I found this a little uncomfortable and stressful to have to hold a position for relaxation. Ideally, we were supposed to relax in the different areas of the body in this set position. I couldn't get the two to go together, the relaxation and the holding the position. So in my own practice over time, I really bent the rules on this. If your instinct at the end of yoga class is to lay on the back, that's fine. That's a great option. One thing we want to watch out for is the comfortability of the back. So when the legs are outstretched, even if the feet aren't flexed, there's a little arch in the lower back. And if that's causing pinching, it's recommended that you choose different options. So again, still maybe laying on the back, but we would explore the knees bent in some way. Think of when you are standing, when your legs are straight with no bend in the knee, the sits bones extend up and the lower vertebrae start to move forward, creating an arch in the back. So that's in standing. When we have the knees bent to some degree, it helps us tilt in the pelvis. So whether the pelvis naturally moves in a certain direction or we actively tilt the pelvis to align the spine to a degree that's comfortable for us. So commonly, and this is what I'm saying is usually the second option if you're given one in class or in a book or video, is maybe having a rolled up blanket or bolster underneath the knees, and so that there's a little bit of a bend in the legs. If you choose to do that, you want the legs to be floppy, and that's going to help with the tilt of the pelvis as well. First variation to help reduce the arch in the back would be to have a slight bend in the knees, like just a really slight bend in the knees, just to make the legs a little floppy. If that's not enough of a bend in the knees to relieve the discomfort in the back, try having a bolster or a rolled up blanket or pad underneath the knees. It'll prop them up a little higher, legs still floppy, and that will help the hips and pelvis to tilt in a way to bring the lower vertebrae a little closer to the floor to align them a little bit more. If there's still discomfort, because there is still some degree of an arch, if there's still discomfort, you might try what I prefer, which is legs fully bent, feet on the floor. Bring the feet a little wider than hip distance, still parallel to each other. That untucks the tailbone so much, it really draws it forward and brings those vertebrae closer to the floor. But again, that's a position that may take too much concentration to hold, where you may not feel relaxed in the hips or in the legs. So that you can relax here, once you're in that position, let the knees lean against each other so that they can fully relax. This is my preferred position. You do not have to lay on your back though. So if none of these options are working for you, you are welcome to lay on your side. You are welcome to sit upright in the middle of the room, maybe on a bolster blanket. You might sit against the wall if you want full back support. You might sit in a chair if that works better for you. One other option for laying on the back would be to have legs up the wall. And there was an episode I did recently called Legs Up the Wall, Break It Down that you can refer to. So it takes a little while to adjust yourself into this position at the wall where the legs are fully up the wall. And that, of all the variations for the laying on the back, that one really gets the spine nice and even, gets the butt cheeks out of the way a little bit, and is most supportive for the back. Plus, with your legs raised like that, it helps with our circulation. Whichever of the general positions you're drawn to, on the back, on the side, sitting, here's your general guidelines for figuring out what to do with the arms or the legs. If the back comfort is important, you may adhere to one of the leg options I just described for laying on the back. But beyond that, if you're not using one of those options, here's the general guidelines for the shoulders, for the hips, the legs, and the arms. You want to tune into your shoulders and your hips, and you want to find the arm or the leg position that's going to help the shoulders or hips relax fully. Because we treat both sides of our body differently, we move them in different ways throughout our day, throughout all our activities, this may be different for each shoulder, each hip. So for instance, one shoulder might be just great with the arm in that 45-degree angle position, maybe palm turning up so that the shoulders rolled open, and it feels great. Maybe for the other side, it does not feel so comfortable, and you're playing around with all these positions. So you might try the arm 45 degrees, then move it a little bit up and a little bit up. Sometimes I like my arms sort of straight up from the shoulder, just a little bit below. I feel like the shoulder can really drop there. Or maybe you want your arm bent, maybe overhead a little bit. So the arms might not be symmetrical at all. So it's the shoulders guiding the arm position. Same with the legs. So choosing positions that allow the hips to relax fully. So one leg might be fully outstretched, and maybe the other leg might bend and then fall out to the side in a butterfly position. If you're laying on the side, you might find you like the lower leg bent because it creates a little triangular support, and maybe the top leg is outstretched, or maybe they're both bent and in line. Maybe the hips rotate forward a little bit, so you're a little bit leaning forward towards the floor, or maybe your hips are completely stacked one on top of the other. You might find laying on your side that you like to bend one arm to have under the head as a pillow, and the other arm flopping in front of you, maybe resting on your stack of legs, or maybe even behind you. Sitting, you may want to have one leg bent, one leg straight, and this even applies with the chair. You might want to have one leg bent, foot on the floor, and the other leg bent, foot on the chair, leg in a butterfly position. You may want to have in your seated position one hand on your lap and one hand dropping to the side. Maybe that shoulder needs a little extra encouragement to let go. If at any point this so comfortable position starts to be uncomfortable, you are free to adjust your position subtly or fully. So fully, you can go from the back on the floor, legs up the wall, to going over to a chair and sitting on it. You can swap complete categories of the Shavasana. So don't worry about what anyone else thinks. There's a saying in yoga, mind your own mat. So a lot of times we really get curious about other people's abilities that we seem to observe, or we might think that people are really paying a lot of attention to us and we don't want to move very much. They can mind their own mat, you mind your own mat, and do what you need to do. So you find a relaxed position. You want to breathe while you're in your Savasana. You have choices here. You have options. This might be the time that you like to practice your slowest, deepest breathing. You might like the breath to be soft, where you're barely paying any mind to it except to just check in on it. The only requirement here is we want the breath to be continuous. So it doesn't do you any good here to practice 5 really deep, beautiful breaths and then have your mind start to wander about what's ahead of you tomorrow, forget about the breath, and start holding your breath. Continuous breathing. It can change paces and depths. That's fine. Just continuous. At any moment, and there will probably be several moments, at any moment when you realize the mind has wandered to, again, what's ahead of you tomorrow, what happened a couple days ago, what's on your grocery list, what you're having for lunch, draw your awareness back to your breath, or this could be a good time for a body scan. So we practiced some awareness to find our comfortable position. So we can practice more awareness in this exercise. You can tune into the top of the head and scan down through the head, sense the brain, sense the eyeballs, the nostrils, sense the breath moving in and out through the nose. You can work your way down through your neck and throat, down into your torso. See if you can sense the organs, where they are, moving through your glutes, your legs and arms, and see what's going on. You might be checking for comfort or discomfort. You might be noticing, can I really sense different densities, different temperatures? Can I sense, the heart or the intestines? Can I sense what is bone and what is muscle? So that might be part of your exercise. If right off the bat or through your scan you realize there's an area of pain or discomfort, another great awareness exercise is tuning into what we are saying is pain, because there are many different sensations that many different people experience under that pain category. So you tune into it. So let's say there's some discomfort around your knee, and you're going to go there with your mind, and you're going to see, does that pain sensation encompass an inch diameter, 2 inches diameter, approximately how far is this area? Because we might say, oh, my knee hurts, like it's the entire knee area. And so you're going to see where it really is. And then you're going to start to notice, okay, what do I observe? Do I observe sharp pain? Do I experience throbbing? Do I experience pulsations? Is it encompassing that entire 1 inch, 2 inch diameter? Is it more towards that center of the area and a little lesser towards the edges, and then it disappears beyond there? Is the temperature different in this area than in other areas of the body? Notice too, do you have feelings about it? Do you have feelings that your knee doesn't work so great and that you have not been taking care of it well and it's all your fault? Notice any feelings or beliefs surrounding these sensations in your knee at this moment. Also, all sensations arise and pass away. So you may say, I have chronic pain in my knee. But if we spent a lot of time tuning into this exact area many times throughout our day, we might notice that there's moments when it's not there, and moments when it's there and feels more intense, and other moments where it feels less intense. So we start to have a separation. So instead of us being so connected to our knee where we feel we are horrible and have so much to blame ourselves for on what is happening with the knee, we start to observe it as we might start to observe some type of specimen in a lab. What's going on here? And we may notice that it's not constant pain, so we can start to see, oh, okay, well, I'm not in that degree of pain at all moments. That's interesting. It starts to become a show that we're watching. We can also observe what happens to these sensations when we have different reactions. So when we feel some attachment to this, maybe when we notice our pain, we tense up. We are so freaked out about the idea of our pain that we tense up. If you do that, notice what happens to the sensations when you tense up. And I'm not saying it goes one way or the other. Maybe the sensations are the same, maybe they're more intense, maybe they're less intense. Maybe you do shield yourself somehow from the pain. So notice for yourself. This is your experiment. So all these observations of the breath, of the body during our Savasana trains us in this way to observe, so that when we are practicing our yoga positions and stretches, we can start to use the same observances there. And that is how we deepen our yoga experience and practice. So Shavasana is often people's favorite part of their yoga class, of their yoga practice, and a lot of it just feels relaxing and good, but you are actually doing your deepest yoga work during this time. If you've been practicing at home and have not included Shavasana at the end of your practice, I really encourage you to add it. Traditionally, Shavasana is practiced for maybe between 5 and 15 minutes. 15 minutes is nice because it's good to get to the point where you're past thinking, okay, I'm enduring a position and then I'm going to get on with the rest of my day. We want to start to lose ourselves in this so we can really just be with the body and the breath. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode of Yoga Break It Down. Hit the subscribe button and share this video with friends. Remember that everybody needs yoga. So Brett Kavanaugh needs yoga, dry cleaners need yoga, sculptors, they need yoga. And you especially, baby, you need yoga too. So I really hope you join me next time on Yoga Break It Down. Bye-bye.